Hi, my name's Steve. Welcome aboard my narrowboat home, Moorland Rose. Please join me as I take a slow boat through Britain. Having visited the Purton ship's graveyard in my last vlog and spent the night next to the Severn Estuary listening to the bird calls over the water, it's time to move on. The mooring is on pins here and the bank is a little high. I need to be careful I don't slip on the grass and fall in. That would be embarrassing. I successfully cast off and we're away. There are some great views across the River Severn. Time to turn around, and there's enough width here to do this in one go. This arm leads to the old entrance from the river via a tidal basin, opened in 1827. Entry to the basin from the river was only possible at high tide, when the tidal gates were opened to allow vessels in and out. Then the gates were closed to retain the water in the basin, and vessels would then take turns to rise through the locks into the canal. A new dock was built on the arm in front in 1874 to accommodate the larger ships which were becoming more common. The old dock ceased being used in 1908, and the tidal gates were replaced by a dam in the early 1990s after they had been damaged by a very high tide. The old arm is now used for private moorings. On the way back we passed the remains of the Severn Railway Bridge, built in the 1870s to allow coal to be transported from the Forest of Dean across the river. In 1960, two tankers collided with one of the pillars in the river, bringing down two spans of the bridge. Rather than repair, the bridge was demolished, leaving this tower which formed the pivot of the swinging section. Back to last night's mooring spot. Many of the older houses in Purton were built for canal workers, boatmen and river pilots. The bridge keeper has seen me approaching and the bridge swings open for me. One of the more unusual creatures along the canal, a gruffalo. There are some large project boats along this canal. I want to visit the RSPB site at Slimbridge, which is over to our port side. This is a good place to moor and walk across the bridge further along. The next day, after a lovely visit to Slimbridge, I moved to the water point before the bridge and let the bridge keeper know that I would be on my way when my water tank was full. With locks raising boats to the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal at both ends, the canal needs to obtain water from a feeder channel. Here, the River Cam provides water for the canal. Once navigable, it was abandoned in 1901. wind has gotten stronger, making it more difficult to keep Moorland Rose steady as I wait for the bridge. It is good to see the flour mill at Frampton still in operation, although not using the canal. It started life in 1917 as a chocolate processing plant for Cadbury's. Chocolate crumb was transported by canal to their factory in Bournville near Birmingham. The red traffic light is telling me to give way to the oncoming vessel at the swing bridge. I'm not going to argue with that. The green light tells me it's safe to proceed. I hadn't expected a second trip boat. I had better keep well over to starboard. But that will put me within easy range of this galleon. Luckily, it wasn't flying the Jolly Roger. I am always very wary of canoeists, especially when it looks as if they're having some tuition. The canal originally formed a loop here, following that channel to starboard, then rejoining after the bridge. A new section was dug in 2007 to pass beneath the new bridge, which was built so that it only had to be opened for larger vessels and reduce the disruption to traffic on the bypass.
Thank you. I want to call at Sainsbury's.
The bridge keeper was going to let the next one know that I was on my way, but I should be stopping before that. Narrowboats look very small against these docksides designed to take ships. quick stop for groceries, and a Blackwater pump out. A nod to the bridge keeper and I can get back into Gloucester docks. It would have been interesting seeing that come towards me. I have thoroughly enjoyed my trip along the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal. To anyone thinking of doing it, have a go. It's well worth the effort. Hopefully, like me, you found the return trip as interesting as the outgoing one. Join me next week as I head up the tidal River Severn, but turn off at Tewkesbury. Until then, stay safe. See you soon.